A surge of heat rushed to my face as my sister-in-law's voice cut through the Thanksgiving dinner conversation. "Olivia's here begging for money again," Rachel announced, her words landing like physical blows. The serving spoon I was passing to my niece slipped from my suddenly numb fingers, clattering against the fine china and sending cranberry sauce spattering across the pristine white tablecloth, a jarring splash of crimson that matched the humiliation burning across my cheeks. 12 pairs of eyes locked onto me in synchronized judgment. The overhead chandelier, the one I'd secretly paid for when their renovation budget ran short, suddenly felt like an interrogation light, exposing the ultimate irony. Every morsel on their plates, every crystal glass, every thread of the imported linens had been financed by the very person they were publicly shaming. "My name is Olivia, I'm 38 and a contemporary artist. This is the story of how I reclaimed my worth after years of financing my family's illusion." "Get a real job like your brother," Rachel continued, tapping her acrylic nails against the Waterford crystal I'd gifted them last Christmas. The rhythmic clicking seemed to punctuate each word. "Stop mooching off everyone." I closed my wallet slowly, deliberately. My phone vibrated in my pocket, Luke, my accountant, following up on our earlier conversation about the monthly transfers. The timing was so perfect it felt orchestrated by some cosmic force dedicated to exposing family hypocrisy. "Rachel," my brother Peter began, his voice carrying that familiar tone of weak protest that never quite materialized into actual defense. "No, Peter. I'm tired of this," Rachel interrupted, the authority in her voice suggesting she spoke for everyone. "Every family gathering, she shows up with her sob stories. Oh, galleries don't understand my vision. Meanwhile, we are working ourselves to death to maintain this lifestyle." She gestured around their dining room as if showcasing a royal estate instead of a suburban McMansion in Plano. I pulled out my phone, glancing at Luke's text, confirming you're canceling the monthly $15,000. Transfer to their account. My thumb hovered over the keyboard as mental calculations flashed through my mind. $15,000 a month for 3 years. $180,000 a year. My phone vibrated in my pocket, Luke, my accountant, following up on our earlier conversation about the monthly transfers. Over $500,000 total. All funneled through a trust our grandmother had supposedly left for Peter, a trust that had actually been empty when she died, leaving only her antique jewelry and a letter explaining why she'd disinherited him. "Olivia creates art," my mother said quietly from the end of the table, her voice barely audible above the clink of silverware. "Finger paintings aren't art," Rachel scoffed, refilling her glass with the $95 Cabernet I'd brought. "My 5-year-old could do what she does." "Your 5-year-old is remarkably talented then," I said calmly, surprising myself with my steady voice. "One of my finger paintings just sold to the Museum of Modern Art for $2.3 million. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the children's table went quiet, small forks suspended in midair. Rachel laughed, that sharp, dismissive sound I'd endured since Peter first brought her home a decade ago. "Right. And I'm married to a secret billionaire." "No," I said, taking a measured sip of water. "You're married to a regional sales manager who makes $73,000 a year before taxes. Hardly billionaire territory." Peter's face flushed crimson. "How do you, Olivia, that's not. Isn't it though?" I set down my glass with precision. "Or did you get a raise from Technotron Industries recently? Strange, considering they've been laying people off for the past 6 months. Have you been spying on us?" Rachel's voice pitched higher, her perfectly contoured face beginning to fracture. "No, I've been paying your mortgage." "There's a difference." My phone buzzed again. This time it was Melissa, my gallery director. "The Sotheby's auction estimate just came in. Your series could go for 8 to 10 million. Champagne?" I typed back, "Later. In the middle of a family revelation." "What are you talking about?" Peter stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the Brazilian cherry hardwood floors, if I recalled the invoice correctly. "Should I start with the mortgage payments? The car payments? Private school tuition for both kids? Or should we jump straight to the fertility treatments insurance wouldn't cover?" My mother gasped. My father, who'd been silently carving turkey for the past 10 minutes, set down his knife. "You're delusional," Rachel spat, but her hands were visibly shaking now. "Is that so?" I pulled up my banking app. 3 years of transfers clearly visible. Grandma's trust for Peter never existed. She left me everything, her entire estate, including her investment portfolio. About 12 million after taxes. That's impossible, Peter whispered. Is it? Remember the summer you stole her social security checks to buy that motorcycle? Or when you convinced her to mortgage her house for your sure thing business venture? I scrolled through my phone. She remembered. She also wrote it all down in a rather colorful letter that came with the will. Would you like me to read it? Grandma had strong opinions about Rachel too. You've been lying to us for 3 years, Peter's voice cracked, reminiscent of when we were teenagers, when I'd cover for him when he snuck out, take blame when he broke Mom's china, give him my babysitting money when he needed gas. No, I've been loving you for 3 years. Despite everything. I looked at my niece and nephew, watching with wide eyes from the kids' table. I've been making sure Emma and Ethan had everything they needed, dance lessons, soccer camp, that specialized tutor for Emma's dyslexia that you couldn't afford. How dare you? Rachel started. How dare I what? Love my brother's children? Ensure they had opportunities? Pay for the roof over their heads? I laughed, but it came out sadder than intended. Do you know what I told myself? They'll figure it out eventually. They'll be grateful. Maybe even love me back. We do love you, Peter said weakly. No. You love Grandma's trust fund. You love the mysterious monthly deposits. You love the safety net you thought you earned by being born with a Y chromosome. I stood, suddenly exhausted. But you don't love me. If you did, your wife wouldn't feel comfortable calling me a beggar at your table. A table I paid for, by the way. Receipt dated June 15, 2021. Restoration hardware. $6,300. Stop it, Rachel hissed. Stop listing prices like some kind of benefactor? ATM? What would you prefer I call myself? My phone rang. Melissa again. This time I answered, putting her on speaker. Olivia darling, I'm sorry to interrupt your holiday, but the buyer from Hong Kong wants to know if you'll accept $4 million for Echoes of Silence right now. Cash deal, no auction wait. Tell them 4.5 or they can wait for Sotheby's, I said, watching my family's faces transform like a time-lapse of erosion. Done. I'll send the contracts tonight. Oh, and the Guggenheim called about the retrospective. They're offering the entire 3rd floor for next spring. We'll discuss it Monday. Happy Thanksgiving, Melissa. Happy Thanksgiving, darling. Try not to murder your family. I hung up. The silence stretched like taffy, sticky and uncomfortable. You're. Peter couldn't finish. Successful? Rich? Everything Rachel's been mocking for years. I looked around the table. Yes. While you've been treating me like a failure, I've been building a career that's now valued in the millions. And yes, I've been helping you, financially, the whole time. Why wouldn't you tell us? My mother's voice was small. Would it have mattered? Would you have defended me when Rachel called my work finger paintings? When she mocked my delusions of success? I shook my head. I wanted to be loved for who I am, not what I could give you. But I see now that was naive. So what now? My father spoke for the first time. You're just going to cut us off? Yes. The simplicity of my answer seemed to shock everyone. The monthly transfers end today. The automatic payments for the mortgage, cars, tuition, all of it. You can't do that, Rachel whispered. Actually, I can. It's my money. Money I earned from those finger paintings you've been ridiculing for years. I looked at my niece and nephew. Emma, Ethan, this doesn't affect you. Your college funds are secure. They're in trusts your parents can't touch. This is blackmail, Peter said. No, this is a boundary. Something I should have established years ago. I pulled on my coat. I've spent 3 years paying for the privilege of being treated like a failure. That arrangement ends today. And Christmas? My mother asked, her voice breaking. I'll be in Paris. The Musée d'Orsay is doing an exhibition of my work. I headed for the door, then paused. Oh, Rachel, you might want to call your mortgage company on Monday. The automatic payment won't process. You really going to make us lose our house? I turned back one last time. No, you're going to make you lose your house. I'm just no longer preventing it. Olivia, Peter called after me. What about the kids? The kids have trust funds, college, graduate school, down payments on their first homes. All protected, all managed by Luke. Not you. I looked him in the eye. I may be done enabling you, but I'll never stop loving them. Outside, the Texas evening was crisp and clear. My Tesla, the one Rachel always sneered at, waited in the driveway. I sat in the driver's seat for a moment, processing what had just happened. My phone exploded with texts. Mom, please come back. Dad, that was uncalled for. Peter, how could you? Rachel, you're a monster. But then, one message made me smile. Emma, Aunt Olivia, can I see your studio sometime? I want to be an artist like you. I texted back, anytime, sweetheart. Art is about truth. And today you saw what that really means. As I drove away from the house I'd paid for, from the family I'd supported, from the life I'd subsidized while being treated like a burden, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: freedom. The radio played softly, and I laughed when I recognized Money by Pink Floyd. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor. My phone rang. Luke. So, how did it go? He asked. About as well as expected. Rachel called me a monster. The same Rachel who spent $8,000 at Neiman Marcus last month. The very same. He sighed. You did the right thing, Olivia. You can't buy their love or respect. I know. I wanted to help. I wanted them to be comfortable. There's a difference between helping and enabling. You crossed that line about 2 years and 11 months ago. Why didn't you say something? I did. Repeatedly. You said they're family. They are family. No, Luke said gently. They are relatives. Family doesn't treat you like an ATM while calling you a failure to your face. He was right. I knew he was right. It didn't make it hurt less. The children's trusts are safe. I asked. Ironclad. Peter and Rachel can't touch them. The kids will be fine, Olivia. Better than fine. Good. I merged onto the highway, heading toward my real home, the converted warehouse where I painted, lived, and built a life they'd never bothered to understand. Hey, Luke? Yeah? Increase the kids' trusts by the amount I was giving Peter and Rachel. If their parents are going to struggle, they'll need it. He laughed. There's the Olivia I know. Heart of gold, even when they don't deserve it. The kids deserve it. They didn't choose their parents. No, but their parents chose their path. Let them walk it. After we hung up, I drove in silence for a while. Then my phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. Emma had tagged me in a post, a photo of one of my paintings from her textbook with the caption, "My aunt is Olivia Farrow." Yes, the Olivia Farrow. And she's the kindest person I know, even when we don't deserve it. Hashtag proud niece, hashtag artist life, hashtag truth hurts. The comments were already flooding in from her friends. OMG, your aunt is famous. Can she teach us? Why is your mom crying in the background? I smiled despite everything. Maybe I'd lost some relatives today, but it seemed I'd gained something else, the truth. And Emma, at least, understood that was worth more than any monthly transfer. My phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Olivia? This is Harold Wallace from The Times. We are doing a piece on artists who support their families while building their careers. Someone sent us a rather interesting recording from a Thanksgiving dinner. Would you like to comment? I paused, taken aback. A recording? From dinner today? Yes, it appears your niece Emma was recording the conversation on her phone. She emailed us the audio about 20 minutes ago, along with photos of your work from her textbook. Said the world needed to know your story. I thought about it for a moment. The old Olivia would have demurred, would have protected them even now. But the old Olivia had died somewhere between the appetizers and Rachel's sneering dismissal. You know what, Harold? I would love to comment. How about we discuss it over coffee Monday? I have quite a story about the real cost of success and the price of family silence. Looking forward to it. Oh, and Olivia, that piece the MoMA acquired? Stunning. My wife cried when she saw it. Thank you. It's called The Weight of Unspoken Things. Seemed appropriate, don't you think? He laughed. More than you know. See you Monday. As I pulled into my driveway, I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Wilson, watering her garden despite the evening hour. Olivia. Happy Thanksgiving. How was dinner with your family? I considered the question. Expensive, I said finally. But worth every penny. She looked confused but smiled anyway. Well, there's always Christmas. No, I said, getting out of my car. I think I'll spend Christmas with people who actually like me. Novel concept, I know. Inside my warehouse, my paintings waited, massive canvases full of color and pain and truth. The very paintings Rachel had mocked, Peter had dismissed, my parents had tolerated. The paintings that now hung in museums and private collections around the world. I poured myself a glass of wine, good wine, not the grocery store bottle Rachel served, while pocketing the cases I brought, and stood before my latest piece. It was unfinished, like most family stories, but tonight I knew how to complete it. As I picked up my brush, my phone buzzed one last time. Luke again. Transfers cancelled. All of them. You're free, Olivia. Free. Such a small word for such a big feeling. I painted until dawn, pouring 3 years of silence and swallowed pride onto the canvas. When I finally stepped back, I saw it clearly, a family dinner table where one chair remained empty. Not because they forgot to set a place, but because the person who had paid for every plate had finally learned she deserved better than crumbs. I'd call it the moocher's revenge. Or maybe just truth. Either way, it would sell for millions. 6 months later, I stood in the Musée d'Orsay as visitors admired my exhibition. The Paris opening had been a tremendous success, with collectors and critics praising my new direction. My phone buzzed with a message from my mother. We saw your show in the news. Your father and I are proud of you. We've both realized how wrong we were. When you're ready to talk, we're here. I tucked the phone away, not yet ready to respond but feeling the first seedlings of potential reconciliation. Peter and Rachel had indeed lost the house, downsizing to an apartment they could actually afford. Our relationship remained severed by mutual choice, though Emma and Ethan still visited my studio regularly. The article in the Times had become a turning point in discussions about artists supporting their families, and the painting I'd completed that night, Truth, now hung in a place of honor at the exhibition entrance, having sold for a record $6.2 million. The truth, I'd learned, wasn't just expensive. It was priceless.